Let's go.
What a lovely day!
Andy, there's a whole world out there. Jump in.
Can you dig it?
Yeah.
You must always pay strict attention.
I was just completely enamored by it the entire time.
Dude, he did not have to go that hard.
I know, man. Isn't it wild?
The Jared Cast.
So it begins.
Arr! Welcome to the Jared Cast, matey. Yeah, man. My name is Jared A. I'm here with my co-host, co-producer Jared L. What's up, Jared?
Ahoy, matey. Oh, what a intro. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Just watched a pirate movie, and sipping a yerba at like 6 p.m. Because
wow, you're getting crazy on a Friday night.
that's my day off energy. Sitting at home and drinking caffeine in the evening.
That's okay. I ordered 9 boxes of Girl Scout cookies that I have waiting for me after recording this episode. So I got an evening plan too. Don't you worry.
Yeah, well, that's a good reminder to me to get Girl Scout cookies. I forgot all about them.
Dude, they're on DoorDash. Like, what the fuck? That's too
crazy.
dangerous. That is too dangerous. Big
my
fan of
God.
that. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Trying to think of what else happened. Oh, I woke up this morning to try to get Rina Sawayama tickets. Sold out in 10 seconds. So it was because this is a small venue, so I'm not surprised, but like, I gotta wait till the fall, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Damn.
I did get Denzel Curry tickets though, because my brother and I were gonna go to both, and they were both in the same week. And I was like, okay, I'll get the Rena tickets, you get the Denzel tickets. So we got the Denzel tickets. We're GA balcony. I'm very excited.
Hell yeah. Nice redemption. I tried to get Paul McCartney tickets.
Oh yeah.
And that was impossible. That was gone immediately. There was no way. And like the cheapest tickets were $160 for top balcony in a fucking arena. But like it's Paul McCartney, so like
Honestly, yeah. Yeah, man, that's insane. Which arena was it?
It was in Spokane. That was the closest show of his. Yeah. So I'm okay missing out. It's heartbreaking, but it is what it is.
Yeah. And maybe there'll be a festival in a couple years when things are opened up across the nation. Mm-hmm. But yeah, back on the topic at hand.
Welcome to our concert podcast. It's delightful to have you.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So we pick a topic every week, and we talk about 2 movies that relate to that topic. And today we are talking about space opera. We both worked very, very hard to not pick Star Wars or Flash Gordon. And as a result, we both picked Disney movies.
Yep. We picked separate Disney properties. So, woo!
But they're both very good. The first one is going to be Treasure Island, and the next one is going to be Wall-E, which are both lovely movies, both very great animation all the way through. So I'm very excited to talk about them. But before we do that, we got something fun.
Yeah, our most confusing top 5 so far, probably, besides the which characters do you want to eat. Most confusing top 5 since then.
Yeah.
It's top 5 rebound films. So the actor, director, composer, cinematographer, whatever job you choose, had a real shit film. Just a big dump of a movie, but they came back. They came back swinging. They have a triumphant return, and we're going to be highlighting those. It is weird because you can't cheat and find like a list for ideas, or it's not something you can browse easily. You just have to think of a bad movie by an actor or director or whatever, and hope that it was preceded or followed by a good one. But I'm excited to see what you came up with. So why don't you hit me with your number 5?
Faux show. My number 5 is my only non-actor on this list. I couldn't think of any. I forgot to think of composers. That was a good one to bring up, or cinematographers too.
Yeah.
But I came up with one writer-director, a legendary auteur from the 80s and 90s, and also a little bit in the early 2000s. However, Nora Ephron, writer-director of movies such as Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail, big hits, big all-time classics of the rom-com genre, experienced a major critical and box office disappointment with Bewitched in 2005. But her movie after that, which came out in 2009, was Julie and Julia. It was her final film, sadly. We lost her a few years after that. But Julie and Julia, it was a box office success. It was Academy Award nominated. And to this day, it's considered one of the best food movies of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're both still ripping off recipes from it. So we're down for Julia here on the Jared cast.
Hell yeah.
The Jared and Jared cast. We need that's our next poster for our cover, is us on Julia, but it's Jared and Jared.
Okay.
I think it's a hit.
Here's the question, though. Who is going to be Streep and who's going to be Adams?
Oh, I think you deserve to be Streep. I think you're the Streep in our relationship.
Yeah, maybe. But also, I think you would just look better licking your finger.
Probably.
I think with a guy with a mustache, it would look creepy.
Yeah, that's kind of. I don't know. I'm into it. Anyways, later dates.
We said this top 5 wouldn't be unhinged, and we're already unhinged.
Or consider those hinges coming off. My number 5 is a director we have talked about. We have covered one of his movies pretty recently. He is one of my faves and the faves of many other 20-year-old white men. I'm talking David Fincher. Ooh, surprise. Yeah, I mean, Alien 3 into 7. It's a pretty big jump, and I'm proud of our boy for getting out of that slump. He rarely misses. Only 2 jump to mind. Cough, cough, Benjamin Button, cough, cough, overrated. But Alien 3 was his biggest miss, and so 7 in was not, and so was my number 5.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Also, when I looked up to make sure that they were back to back, apparently he went to high school 20 minutes away from where I'm at right now, which is cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Had no idea.
Heritage, bro. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I still have not seen Benjamin Button.
That's okay. Maybe I'll make you watch it, because it'd be fun. It'd be fun just to shit on for the banter. I think it'd be a good banter movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's weird. It's like kind of pedophilic, but kind of not at times. And like,
Oh, good.
I don't know. It's just a weird, not good movie. But a lot of people like it, so you might. I don't know.
Interesting. My number 4, shifting gears a little bit. This person co-starred in a triumphant feminist film of 2016, a rousing epic. Just kidding, it was Ghostbusters. The movie flopped, and a lot of people were mad at it. Sadly, they were mad at it for the wrong reasons. But I think the only person that really gave it their all and really really went above and beyond was Kate McKinnon. As far as the members of the Ghostbusters, I feel like she was the only one who didn't phone it in, and so she deserved better. So I was very pleasantly surprised and very pleasantly just as a fan, like when The Spy Who Dumped Me came out in 2018. This is a movie that kind of went under the radar, but it doubled its budget. So it's a box office success compared to Ghostbusters 2016. And yeah, she co-starred alongside Mila Kunis, and it's a surprisingly great action comedy. Like, they actually made a comedy with great action in it, starring Kate McKinnon and Mila Kunis. So yeah, it was really cool.
I still have not seen it, and I thought it was going to be terrible because it just looked like it would be,
'Cause the title.
and then it wasn't. Yeah, and then it wasn't, and I need to get around to it for sure. We're gonna shift gears to my number 4. It is an actor. I'm already back on that trade. I only did actors and directors. I hyped it up like you were going to have a lot of variation with this top 5, but you are not. So we're gonna talk about my main man, Red Main, comma Eddie.
Horrible.
I know. Much like the movie Jupiter Ascending it's a bad movie. It's not good. But it was a slightly better movie that I thought he was actually fantastic in, was The Danish Girl. It gets a lot of hate. It's not perfect, but I enjoyed it, and I think he's fantastic in it. And so that's a pretty big leap for less than a year between those releases. Imagine working on both of those at the same time, because he had to. And so jumping from Jupiter Ascending to The Danish Girl kind of makes The Danish Girl a little funny. And so, yeah, my number 4 pick for that reason.
That'd be a fun double feature.
It would be.
Just Eddie Redmayne Day.
Yeah. We'll watch Fantastic Beasts after, make it a trilogy.
Oh my god.
I gotta know where to find them.
Oh shit. That's great. Yeah, man. My number 3 experienced a whole streak of flops from 2009 to 2013 in the box office, including 47 Ronin, which adjusted for inflation is the second biggest flop of all time.
Bravo.
Yeah. In 2014, my man Keanu Reeves starred in the film John frickin' Wick, dude. John Wick revitalized his career, his public image as kind of like no longer a throwaway action star, and now he is the action star of that decade. And yeah, man, all 3 movies are great. I'm expecting great things out of the 4th one, and yeah, it all started with that first John Wick, and he's absolutely perfect in it. And yeah, it's a great bounce back.
Nice. I'm going to keep that ball rolling, too, with another action star.
Ooh.
His good movie for this pick, I haven't seen. I'm going to be honest. But I can guarantee it's still a step up because it did launch Jackie Chan's career. I am talking New Fists of Fury, his acting debut, which came after a movie called All in the Family, which was a porno. And so he, one of the best physical actors of all time, got a little physical before, and that's a comeback.
Did you plan that, or did we both realize that at the same time?
I think we both realized that at the same time.
That's great.
I planned it right before I said it, but it wasn't like written before or anything.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I just had to bring up that Jackie Chan did porn at any chance I could get. So
This is the first time I'm hearing it. I don't.
yeah. Wait till you hear about Cameron Diaz too.
Yeah. I knew that one.
Yeah. Stallone. I don't know
Stallone,
why I
knew
know
that
so
one.
many porn stars that turned into actors, but
You just only watch them from the 60s and 70s.
yeah, my porn catalog is starting from the ground up. Where I go way back in time for that.
Okay. Number two.
And it's unhinged.
It's unhinged indeed. You could even say it's wild, as in Wild Wild West, 1999.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Will Smith notoriously turned down the role of a lifetime as Neo in The Matrix so that he can star in Wild Wild West.
Wow.
The movie was not only an incredible flop, it is considered one of the worst films ever made. He still publicly talks shit about himself at that time today. And I think that's really cool of him, I guess, because it was really bad. But 2 years after that, he was nominated for an Academy Award for the movie Ali, which I have not seen. I've seen bits and pieces of it, just kind of, growing up in the heyday of TNT. And yeah, directed by Michael Mann. It was not a box office success, but it was a critical success, and it kind of got people around and like I think helped his chances in the public eye, leading up to Men in Black 2 and all that stuff. But yeah,
Nice. Yeah, a great pick. Will Smith totally slipped my mind.
he has a couple.
I gotta, yeah. Speaking of a couple, this guy, he is very hit or miss. I call him the Weezer of actors, and so he's probably the most obvious choice for this top five. No surprises here. It's Adam Sandler, but he had two films come out in the same year. One in June, one in December. The one in June was a flop. It had terrible reviews. I haven't seen it, and I will never see it. It's called Murder Mystery.
I have seen it.
Yeah? Is it bad?
Pretty bad.
Did you rebound with Uncut Gems?
I was really hoping you would do that, and you didn't. Thank God.
Of course I did it. I'm not going to not.
Yeah, man. I saw Murder Mystery and Uncut Gems, and I in the same year, and I agree. It's a great bounce back.
Yeah, most of it was just so I could say Uncut Gems. But I still think he qualifies, especially the same year. That's one hell of a bounce back. But pretty much any movie you pick from the one before was probably kind of bad. So take your pick.
Hell to the yeah. My number one had a bit of a rough patch that lasted damn near 20 years. This man and myth and legend was took the world by storm in 1989, starring as Batman, and in 1992 came back also starring as Batman. And the script for the third one was so bad that he turned down one of the biggest paychecks of his life. And very, very gradually, Michael Keaton, my number one, was kind of just like doing these really like mid-budget movies that were kind of not entirely unsuccessful, but like he was mostly absent from the stardom that he had like literally 5 years ago. And that carried on through the early 2000s. He kind of disappeared, but like didn't retire. Was just kind of doing like bit parts, or like I remember him being really good in The Other Guys, but like that wasn't that wasn't the role of a lifetime. But in 2014, nearly over 20 years after the release of Batman Returns, he comes back to play Birdman. And is still killing it to this day. And I think that's why that's why this rebound is my number one over the others, even though I think Will Smith had to work a little harder to get out of the Wild Wild West funk. I think Michael Keaton, like, both phases have lasted longer. And, like, I just watched Dope Sick on Hulu, where he plays a doctor during the... He plays a small town doctor during the beginning of the opioid epidemic. And he is insanely good. Because they jump in time a lot, and like, yeah, he's amazing, and I can't wait to see what he does next. And he's coming back to play Batman too, which is awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Birdman was honestly the perfect casting for him, especially because
So
it like
good.
kind of uses that downfall to the advantage. Excellent pick, absolutely fantastic. I'm jumping back to directors with mine. My number one. Few directors are known for their consistency, like these lads. Spoiler: they're a pair. You could probably narrow it down already. It's the Coen brothers, but big ass but. They haven't always been great. In fact, they've released bad movies too, just like everybody else. Namely, Lady Killers. The Lady Killers in 2004, starring the big man Tom Hanks. Yeah, it's not great. It's not. It's just not. But their next one was No Country for Old Men. One of my favorite Coen Brothers movies. One of my favorite movies of all time. An absolute jam of a movie. And the fact that it like popped out right after this so early in their career is fantastic. And they fucking haven't really missed since. I mean, I haven't seen the Jesus roles yet, but
They
I
didn't
guess
direct that, I don't think.
no, they were just associated. I clicked on it and it was corrected immediately. But they've been on a damn hot streak ever since. And so they bounced back in a hard way, a big way, and a way that I'm a big fan of.
Hell yeah. Love the Coen brothers. I have not seen Lady Killers. I've seen one clip of like Tom Hanks like crawling on a tree branch and like there's a cat on and he's like trying to catch the cat or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
I don't
a
remember
scene.
where I don't remember where I saw that clip, but it was just I was just like, what is this?
Yeah, you're okay skipping this one. It's not like egregiously bad. You're just not gonna have a good time watching it. Like you're just gonna be like, why did I spend 2 hours and 13 minutes or whatever it is on this movie?
Oh sheesh. Yeah, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. Good list.
You too. This was a fun one. Let's never do it again.
I agree. Shall we move on to the outer reaches of outer space?
Yes, no, and kind of, because before we do, is Jared reads poorly written reviews of movies they're watching because it's funny and it makes them laugh and stuff. This one is from 2003 from user Moon River, calling it the worst Disney film I've ever seen.
Wow.
Gave it a 1 out of 10. But put an asterisk on that because they changed their mind later down the road. Yeah, I honestly, I'm gonna be honest. Before I read this, I thought there'd be better ones for Treasure Planet. It's a very divisive film, divisive film. A lot of people hate this movie for some reason, and so I thought I'd get funnier comments, but it wasn't. But this one's still pretty good. I still like it. My friend is in love with this movie. She demanded that I go to it. Willingly, I went. I like Disney movies, and I want to be an artist or animator when I get older. However, this was just the worst thing I've seen by Disney. The movie's animation was nothing new. The CG effects were somewhat annoying and clashed with the usual animation. The storyline was boring, but maybe because of the fact it was based of Treasure Island and everyone's heard that tale before. The otherworldly setting added nothing to the plot. other than the island is now a planet. Wow. I wish Disney would put a better score to their films as well. The music is never clever, simply predictable. The song with the lead singer of the Goo Goo Dolls was all right. The cast of characters, the cast of characters, though voiced by a star-studded cast, was the usual lot. The two characters hooking up at the end was predictable, and I saw it coming before the film did. And Disney had to lower itself, or are they low enough already, to put in a character that speaks in, what else? Fart noises. This film blew in, blew out, and left me with nothing but a yawn. I feel sorry for my friend. 1 out of 5.
Wow. So now it's a 2 out of 10.
Yeah. It got bumped up. How can you say that Disney music is so boring when you've got Tarzan?
I know, man.
That alone is
Tarzan, Lion King, Little Mermaid, dude. Ah,
even Toy Story.
Toy
Put some
Story's great.
respect on fucking Randy Newman's name, motherfucker.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I mean, like I like the James Newton Howard score in this movie. It's not my favorite James Newton Howard score, but I think it does a good job capturing the adventure vibe of it. Like we said at the beginning, the topic at hand is space opera, and that's typically just a melodrama in space. And and I think Treasure Planet fulfills that perfectly. I think the music plays a big part in that as well, and I actually like that it's pretty faithful to Treasure Island because, those characters are memorable for a reason. Like Long John Silver and Jim, like that relationship from the books translates so well to Silver and to James Hawkins in this one, and and it's one of the things that I like about it. I did see this movie in theaters 20 years ago when it came out, which is crazy to think about. I did not know that it was a flop until I was older. And I didn't know that critics didn't like it until I was older. But I actually, I've always had a soft spot in my heart for this movie. I have a soft spot in my heart for pirates in general. Because I was a big pirate nerd as a little kid. I had a book of the history of pirates. And so I studied them, dude. Like I'm excited for Stede Bonnet by Taika Waititi. I think that's going to be great.
I'm so hyped.
It's going to be great. And I'm pretty sure he's playing Blackbeard, which is even better. Yeah, man. But anyway, back to Treasure Planet. Yeah, like I think the movie is like at worst, it's like pretty good, but at best it's like a really like awesome technical achievement, really cool space visuals, really solid adventure for kids. It's a great one about like friendship and chosen family and like all that stuff that you can show your kids when you watch these things. The relationship between James and his mom is a little underwritten, but it's still pretty cool, and like I think it influenced me growing up for sure. And I just love the aesthetics of the movie as well. I think just putting like post-colonial Europe in space, I think is perfect. I think it looks amazing. All the not costumes because they're not people, but like all the character designs and all the production designs I think are amazing. Some underwritten characters, some CGI effects don't hold up, but most of them do. We can talk about the animation later. And I had one more qualm with it. Let me go to my notes. The faces aren't always perfect. Like the faces are kind of at weird angles sometimes, and I think that's just the direction. I don't know how to fix it because I'm not an animator, but maybe pose them in a different way, and that way you can get a better angle on the face. I don't know. But especially with James's face, I think there are a couple moments where it's like, it's a weird proportion.
Yeah.
But honestly, I really like this movie. I'll give it a 7.9.
Fair. Fair is fair. Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think this is underrated. I think the hate is not completely deserved, though it does have its flaws. I do think the characters are pretty, almost across the board, pretty underwritten. You do have a great villain and protagonist in here. But besides that, the supporting cast, I'm not super invested in. Although you do have some great side characters like the Captain Amelia. I think she's interesting, compelling, and badass as all hell. And so it's not a universal problem. Same with the problems with the animation. Some of the animation is fucking insane and gorgeous and fantastic. Sometimes it's a little uncanny valley, and that's okay. We're moving past. Yeah, so it's pretty much everything in this movie. It does everything mostly good and then kind of bad in some sections. Like the music. The score is great. Anytime it's like a soundtrack with singing, fucking hated it. It's awful.
They couldn't
It's
even
just
do
not-
pirate music. Like,
Yeah,
so
like
bad.
come on. You have to do just like Goo Goo Dolls type shit. Yeah, so like every pro has its con with this movie, but I think the overall product is captivating. It's adventurous. It's gorgeous at times. It's got a nice story about family. It's got a fantastic like father-son dynamic that I really love and have loved since the first time watching this movie. Yeah, and so it's a hit or miss movie that mostly hits, I think is the sum up of my review. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoy it. Even with all its flaws, I think it's still an endearing film.
I agree. Did you ever read Treasure Island as a kid, or have it read to you? Okay.
No, this was the only introduction to the story that I had. I haven't even seen the movie that came before it.
Oh, yeah.
But I watched the fuck out of this as a kid. So like
Okay, cool.
I'm familiar with the story, but only from this movie.
Yeah. I think I said it earlier, and I think you latched onto it as well. The relationship between Jim and Silver is a key component. It's the most compelling in the book as well. He's known as Long John Silver in the book,
Yeah.
and
He goes on to start a chain of fish restaurants. It's actually drug cover-ups, allegedly.
in my head canon, like that's what happens at the end of the book. Like,
Yeah, he just disappears and retires with this small fortune that he grabbed a pocket full, and he started a fried fish fast food chain.
but yeah, like I love that this book captures the vibe where it's like, it starts out like a grand adventure, and then then slowly they kind of chip away at the protagonist by like just introducing human nature into it, and like, yeah, these people are greedy, these people are selfish, these people are murderous, and all of a sudden the stakes get raised a lot. So I think even if you even like I think for fans of the book and for fans who are just fans of this movie, I think that's always a good thing. You mentioned liking the kind of father figure turn. What was like rewarding about it? What was like what's special about it in this movie as opposed to other father-son dynamics?
It kind of sets this movie apart in terms of Disney protagonist antagonist dynamics. And I think that's why I like it. I don't think it like especially excels if they were like comparing this to like other father-son Disney relationships. I think it's kind of on par. But I think having it be the villain of the story makes it super interesting. It's just a cool dynamic. It adds so much more depth to the characters that you really don't see. Like you get hints of the lack of a father figure kind of sort of leads James, was that what the fucking lead's name? Jim, not James.
I keep saying James. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. Jim leads Jim down like the path of degeneracy that we see at the beginning of the movie. And so you get that he is missing that father figure in his life. But having the villain need a son as bad just makes for a great dynamic. And they don't go super deep into it. They're not like having crazy conversations. But I think you get a lot out of it, and it really just makes for something interesting, something kind of refreshing. A modern example, it reminds me of Into the Spider-Verse with what the fuck is his name? Night
Miles?
Stalker or some shit. No, his uncle.
Oh, his uncle.
What's
Prowler.
his like villain name? Prowler. It's something dumb. Oh, Night Stalker, Prowler, same thing. But it's a similar dynamic. Obviously, that movie goes a little more in depth on it than this does, but I think seeing the roots of this film kind of all coming down to that relationship makes for a endlessly more interesting villain. It's kind of the only thing keeping him interesting besides being a cyborg. And it makes the character less of a whiny Holden Caulfield type and more of a layered kind of enjoyable protagonist that you want to root for.
I agree 100%. Yeah. And I also agree that like I'm glad they didn't go deeper into it with dialogue because honestly, like the scene where he chooses to give up the treasure to save Jim instead, I think that's enough. Like it's powerful to me when I'm watching it and I'm like, hell yeah. Like I would freaking I pump my fist like that. It was so good.
Yeah. You did that as like a 10-year-old in the theater too. I remember it was crazy.
Yeah, man. And like I also love that, like, you know, for someone watching this for the first time, like there are twists and turns and doubts. Like you don't really know, like Silver doesn't really show you his like he might be conning the pirates that he's working with. He might be conning Jim. You don't really know because he's a pirate, and that's why I love pirate fiction because you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's a double cross.
Maybe.
It's always a double cross. You always know.
Yeah,
but that's why you never know.
But where does the double part start? Are they double crossing you, or are they double crossing their own people?
Yeah, man. Totally agree. I think I like that they flesh it out visually as well. Like, you know, the montage of them kind of becoming friends and becoming familiar with each other. I think, and feeling each other out while they're working together. You know, it's even though it's driven by a shitty song. I think I think the visuals that we're afforded are actually really, really cool and really, really interesting. Like, because there is something valuable to like just the daily grind alongside someone, and like
Yeah.
so you know, the kind of accelerated bond between them is like it's easier to buy because we know, okay, they've spent months sailing together, like in space. Like of course, like this would happen, you know. Speaking of space, I know we talked about the animation being awesome, and also having some flaws though. So what were kind of some of your favorite like moments of like animation, of the blending between like CGI and 2D animation? Or least favorite, I don't know.
Yeah, my favorite is the whales that aren't really whales, but it's just gorgeous. I just love they blend like the almost steampunky pirates that they use with sci-fi so well. They had to do like 70% original aesthetic and then 30% sci-fi apparently. And it's the perfect mix. I think it's ideal, honestly. Because you get moments like that where you just realize like the universe is the ocean for them. And like that's just tight. That's just super fucking cool. And there's just like random shit in between that you'll run into sometimes. And that moment with the whales just like opens up the world a lot, which is what this excels at. They always do a good job of like showing that there's a huge world, but not like muddling the details of the film with it. And that's one of the examples. They don't like go into all the lore behind these creatures. They're just like, hey, look at this pretty thing that we're passing by. And it looks great. It looks real good. Some parts don't look real good. I think the entering of the crescent moon shaped like space launch pad dock spaceport looks like Coruscant in episode 1. It just isn't good. Once they actually like land and they're in the world, it looks better. Like it's fully fleshed out. There's crazy, unique looking characters all over the place, and it does succeed. But that zoom where you're flying into it does not quite hold up after all the years. But it's still a fun idea, so you still kind of like buy into it and just write it off.
Yeah. I love messing with film bros on the internet when they're talking about Interstellar, and I'm like, see, the end of Interstellar just is ripoff of Treasure Planet.
Kinda. And Halo almost.
Exactly. No, I agree. I think for me, my favorite blend was in the supernova sequence. I thought that was great.
Totally possible.
Not possible.
People do always shit on the science of this movie, but like it's pirates in space, so who gives a shit?
Who gives a shit, man?
It's fine.
A hologram treasure map. Get over it. Yeah, dude. What was I gonna say? Yeah, in the supernova sequence, like it kind of like is everything that you talked about, like a beautiful blend between the two elements, great design moments in the ship specifically. Like it looks and functions like a real ship, but it also looks and functions like what you said with like the universe being the ocean, because the ship is moving like it's in a storm. Like we've seen so many storms in cinema. You know, I love the storms in Master and Commander. I love the storms in Pirates of the Caribbean, but this storm is great. Like it's like because it's orange. Like it's
That's all it takes to impress Jared. Just have an orange storm. You hear that,
like
X-Men?
No, man, like it's so cool. Like it's fire
it is.
And stardust, and it's splashing on them. Like holy shit, like that's awesome, man. And the black hole forming, such a great twist. Really, any time that they're like having to dodge shit, like that's my favorite. The other great moments that I like the blending of the two elements are in Long John Silver's arm and leg, I think, and the eye. They look amazing. It's the best animated thing in the whole
Absolutely.
Movie.
His whole body is like, even his like skin folds are like super well done. It's crazy how much detail's put into just him.
I love him. And then also, I like Ben's design and movements. Like I think he, like if Martin Short was a robot, I think that is exactly what he would move like, and sound like. And I guess there we can segue into design. Like besides those two, like did you catch any designs that you really latched onto, and any designs that really helped you appreciate the movie more on this watch?
Yeah, I think just the variation in every single like character, like everybody on the crew looks entirely different. Everybody walking around the spaceport has their own unique design. Like I guess it's two people, but the dude who's like one head and then a face on his stomach, like it's just cool. It's just badass.
awesome.
It's creative as hell. And it's it's so there's just so much uniqueness and variance amongst the pirates that give you that. That said, not a big fan of Scroop's design. They just said, "Hey, what's scary?" and made it into the weird spider crab thing. I don't know. It's just a little too far removed from all the other humanoids.
Yeah. It's like, and his head is like a vulture too. Like it's weird.
Yeah, they just pick like 6 different animals and they're like, "Fuck it," just spew that onto the screen.
Maybe. Yeah. Like he's a little bit scary when he's going down the hall, when he's chasing Jim down the hall, but when he's just talking in the group, it's a little weird.
I'm just like, why are you here, you fucking weird crab man? Like, everybody else looks mostly human, even when the head is like scurrying around on its tentacles, like it's still human, and then he's just randomly a full crab.
Right.
It's so different. It's weird.
They were riding the SpongeBob wave.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do like the farting guy though. I think he's great.
Yeah, he's great too.
I love that
People shit on that joke, but I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, like farts are always funny. Get over yourself, internet. I love that every single like hole is a different fart.
Yeah, and he just like plugs them like he's a fucking flute or something.
Yeah, man, I love it. I also like the captain and Mr. Arrow and I keep forgetting the professor's name, Doctor something.
No, it's something dumb.
Dr.
that I didn't
Doppler.
like. Yeah.
Dr. Doppler. Yeah, he's a combination of two characters that are friends with Jim in Treasure Island. But he's really cool. And I just I don't know. I would have liked to see him go through a more like physical transformation. You know, even though like his story is about the nerd becoming cool and the nerd getting the badass girl. But I don't know, like it would have been cool to see him like get a hat or get a headband or something.
Yeah.
Like have his shirt tear open or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Even like personality wise, he doesn't go through a big change. He kind of just like exists, gets in trouble, gets bailed out, and he's like, "I'm cool now." Like I've never been a huge fan of Dr. Doppler. I think the performance is great. He's something Hyde Pierce, I think.
David
Hyde
Pierce, man.
Pierce. Yeah,
Niles from Frasier.
I couldn't remember his first name. He's fantastic. The execution of the character is great, but the writing and the journey they go on, I'm kind of just whatever on.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, we can use that to segue into the writing. Was there? I know you said a lot of them were under. Like a lot of them were underwritten. Which one was the one that bugged you the most? Which character relationship or character arc?
Probably the mom. I think you do get a lot through like body language and just like visual storytelling, which is great. But we immediately like abandon her entirely, and that body language isn't enough to like keep the he's really kind of doing this for her and to rebuild the store. Because he is, like, that's why he's trying to bring back money. It's not for like nefarious purposes or anything. He's trying to support his mom. And I think you just forget about that. It just becomes like a survival story instead of like, oh, his mother's future is on the line as well. So it would have been nice to have a little bit more there. Same with Dr. Doppler. He's He's the underwritten as hell. One of the more egregious ones too.
How do you feel about
Yes,
Ben?
those are Ben. They tried to go for Aladdin Genie, and they almost got Jar Jar, but they didn't get Jar Jar. I
Yeah.
think he is better, but I think he's kind of obnoxious. I'm not like I love Martin Short.
Right.
I stan everything he does, but this one I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I don't really need you much here. It's the lonely robot that can't remember shit is funny, but at points it's like the Vine method of humor where he's just yelling and hopes it's funny, and it's just loudness equals funny type thing. And so I don't know. I'm split on him. I think he's important enough to the story that I'm not like just cut him out immediately,
Right.
but. I'm not like Stan Ben. I'm not going to get a Ben tattoo or anything.
It would be a weird choice. It would be a weird
would be.
choice. Yeah, like I kept thinking about the Jiminy Glick character that Martin Short does when he was doing the Ben thing, and I was like, "That's cool," but like it just made me want to watch clips of Jiminy Glick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I have nothing bad to say about Martin Short. He's always excellent. That's mostly what I have. I do agree about the mom thing. It's funny that you brought up Into the Spider-Verse because I was thinking like during I was thinking
Accidental.
okay, I was like
Misfired on the horn.
I was like what I do
Got to keep you in check.
it's it's funny that you mentioned Into the Spider-Verse earlier because I remember in that movie before the hero makes the big decision he hears all of his mentors in his head, and I think that would have been great, just even if you didn't have a full flashback with the mom, if he just heard her voice before becoming the hero at the end, I think that would have been better. Like the dad's barely into the Spider-Verse, but there's that before he jumps off the building, you hear his dad's voice. There's that spark within you, Miles, and like it makes me cry every time. And I think that would have been perfect if they had. And like you have Laurie Metcalf, dude. You have Laurie freaking Metcalf playing the mom. Like
User at some point in the film. Come on.
seriously, man. Ugh. Anyway,
I would have taken like a flashback or voiceover like that over the dad montage flashback we get with just like the shittiest, most generic 2000s pop rock that you could ever have, and it's just not great.
man. Ugh, so bad. Cool. Favorite scenes. Let's do
Favorite scenes. Shall I, or do you want to take the lead?
Go for it.
Okie dokie. The cooking scene with Jim's first like kind of experience with Long John Silver. I think is the best animation in the movie. His arm like twisting from gadget to like exactly what he needs right when he needs it and stuff is just like some of the best Disney animation from this era at all, period. Like it's just fantastic. Absolutely awesome. Loved that scene. The supernova scene is great, especially with the murder that kicks off kind of the whole plot. Because you also see another thing within the character of Jim that I think people kind of undervalue in this film, where the self-doubt. Like, he doesn't think he could do jack shit right. And so, like, when he thinks he fucks up, he takes it crazy hard. And it's cool to see because he's not, like, an annoying-ass teenager like he could have easily been because he's so close. But he's not. And it's moments like that that, like, make that character something to latch on to. So I appreciated that scene. The finale and the getaway is awesome. There's a great callback to the jump ahead to teenage Jim that we see for the first time, where he's like surfing or whatever in the air. You get a great callback when he's like dodging going back to the portal. I think that's fantastic. Yeah, I think those are my top 3. I'll leave it there so I don't steal. I feel like I always rattle off like 12 of them and then leave you nothing. So those are my 3.
It's all good. We both do it. Yeah, I also love the supernova. I mentioned that before. I also love the cooking scene. I completely forgot about it. And I love specifically the scene in the escape from Treasure Planet. I love him like in free fall using the board to like igniting the rocket like by scraping it on the wall. I thought that was badass when I was a little kid. I was like, you know, even though it doesn't really make sense, like it's still amazing to just watch. Like it's so cool. And like you could see like the little bits of the rocket coming apart when it ignites. Like it's so cool. Yeah, man. And I love when they first open the treasure map as well. I think the CGI looks beautiful in that because I don't see it. Like it looks 2D in my brain. I like the murder of Arrow as well, specifically in the supernova scene. I think it's really dark, especially now, like knowing what we know about black holes, like which is more than we did 20 years ago. Like, not much more, but like you know, it's dark what happens to them, and yeah, man, it's crazy. I also I actually really love like any scene where like morph like turns into their heads. I thought that was so fun. Like I thought that was great. Like and like they don't even have to do that much work because they just copy and paste the head and it works and it's still like, you know, it's of course complex with lighting and stuff like that and proportions and dimensions, but like it, you know, it's such a clever and efficient way of just getting a great laugh for the kids and great laugh for me as well. Every time Morph does that is awesome.
Yeah, Morph is so close to being one of those characters that's just there to sell toys, but he redeems himself. He's lovable, so you get away with one here, Disney.
Yeah, and I like that. Like instead of having a parrot, it's like a shapeshifter. Like that's so cool. Like to add that.
I don't think it ever turns into a parrot, does it? Or am
I don't think so.
Tripping, which is awesome. It's such an easy thing for it to do, but instead it's like fucking straws and shit like that. So
hell to the yeah. But yeah, that was Treasure Planet. Go watch it on Disney Plus. Hell yeah.
Okay. Guess what time it is? I'll give you one guess.
Is it time for Wally?
No.
No.
It's time for Jared reads poorly written reviews of movies that we're watching because it's funny. It makes him laugh and stuff. You fucking idiot. What? This is only episode 367. Why aren't you getting this down yet? Oh, this one, featuring a brief cameo from a second that I won't read the whole thing of, comes from Happy Ayua. Calling it stupid, trite, and wanna be endearing, all compacted into a neat cube of fake. They gave it a 1 out of 10. Disliked it constantly. Couldn't even appreciate the optic. So much aversion did story and narration technique evoke. Very bewildered about the rating and reviews. My only enjoyment of this movie were some negative reviews that were quite true and funny. This film lovers are like visual, parentheses, doesn't save the content, or adorable, or thought-provoking, yucky pukey. My rating might be a little unfair, as I'd probably given this 2 or 3 stars more without aggravating, overreacting, it has, oh well. Not that it matters anyway. Not that it matters anyway, with WALL-E's crazy popularity. Overall, I think the most revolting thing about this was this sweet, droopy-eyed, profit wallet street Pixar product arbitrarily named WALL-E. Not a fan.
Not a fan at all. You sold me on this one when he the first time he said optic. I was like,
Optic. Yeah. What's yucky pukey is now my favorite way to describe anything.
yucky pukey, man.
I also saw one that said, I'll just read the title. It says, "Warning, if you suffer from entomophobia, fear of insects, do not watch this movie." And it was like a whole review saying, don't watch it if you're afraid of insects, because that's terrifying.
Because of the one insect?
Because of the one insect that is very friendly and ticklish. Let's jump on into WALL-E, everybody's favorite horny robot. It's a Pixar movie. I'm sure you gathered that. I'm sure most of y'all have seen it. Pixar, 2008, and it did very well. I think it still stands as Pixar's most nominated for Academy Awards at 6.
Wow.
If not, it definitely was at the time, and that's a hard record to break for an animated movie. So, huge success right off the bat. It's included in like the top 250 movies on IMDb. Everybody knows and loves it, so I'm not going to go on spewing accolades at you, and I'll tell you my thoughts. I also love it. I think it's one of Pixar's best movies because I think it's one of Pixar's most creative movies. I think taking the risk of having a mostly silent film and to be mainstream as this, with as big of a budget as this and as big of a team behind it as this, is a huge undertaking and a ballsy move, and I think it definitely pays off. I've always said that this is the closest that Pixar has gotten to Studio Ghibli magic in terms of like kind of demonstrating humanity visually, and not even like the kind of on the nose, I don't know what the fuck, like critiques of the world. I don't know what I'm thinking of, but on the nose critiques of the world. It's in the robots. It's in basic movements and motions. I'm sure we'll get to the ending at some point during this episode, but the ending's a great example of this, and just showing humanity through like an eye rays and stuff like that. And it takes a lot of finesse and it takes a lot of skill, and that alone makes this movie mind-blowing to me. And that's not even acknowledging like its critique on consumerism, and how it displays that visually in a gorgeous way. The side plots are unique and interesting. There's a lot of hope in it, which it probably shouldn't have, but it still manages to pull off. The characters are incredibly lovable and adorable, and the score is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Pretty much across the board, this movie is absolutely killer, and I don't have a ton of negative to say about it. I do think some of the critiques are a bit on the nose. You could be a little more subtle in that realm of things, but I also think, weirdly enough, the inverse. I think with doing a silent film, you're obviously going to lose a lot of details in your two leads when they only say one word. And so with that is a very surface level relationship. You get a lot just from like visual, here's something, here's how the character reacts, read into that because it's what you get of their personality. And they do that very well. But once we've gotten the characters. We know pretty much everything about them. It's hard to keep pushing that forward and dig into their relationship, especially. But I think it's still very endearing, and their relationship is one of the best in film.
Yeah.
It just straight up. I'll give this one I'll give it a 9.2 out of 10. Big
Nice.
fan of Wall-E.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I am also a very big fan of Wall-E. This is in my top 5 Pixar's. I think, even putting the animation aside, even putting the cinematographic design and the stylings and the way they kind of use animation to mimic the way to mimic like anamorphic lenses. I think it's one of the best sounding movies of all time. Legendary sound designer Ben Burt had just finished Star Wars Episode 3 when he started work on this, and he spent years just coming up with original sounds for all these different robot characters. You mentioned them all being like distinct and cool and like having unique movements, but those movements come to life because they sound different from any other robot in any other movie. And I remember watching behind the scenes of this particular one, and it's almost all like a lot of it is digital for sure, like especially the voices, but like a lot of the movement of the robots is just analog Foley and just him just putting a mic in front of something cool, using a waterfall, using handcuffs, using all these crazy things. It's insane. I do love the main character Wall-E and his hero's journey of kind of just being like I think this does qualify as not soap space opera because a lot of space opera heroes, he's kind of the unexpected hero. Like he is a wimp, but he inspires so many other people to find their strength, so many other characters to find their strength and find their groove and complete their story arcs, even down to Mo the cleaner. Like it's just really cool the way the way you see Wall-E's effect on other characters in the movie. I also love the romance between him and Eve. I think it's awesome. Like it's he just wants to hold her hand. Like it's so simple, it's so relatable, and it's so like brilliantly done, brilliantly animated as well. I think all the space opera elements are really, really great. I think there are some sci-fi elements, specifically like you said with the social commentary, right? That's kind of the difference in my brain, at least. Like sci-fi is about commentary and space opera is about melodrama and drama. And I think the sci-fi elements are not like weak, but definitely way weaker. And it doesn't help at all that like that they keep intercutting in between them, or that like I appreciate the mystery the first time, especially the first time watching this. I was like, oh my god, that's what this movie's about. But like this. I think this is my third time watching it, and I'm just like get to Wall-E and Eve.
Yeah.
And I understand that it's necessary. I understand that it's it's still pretty good, and that like using a hero that's a trash compactor and talking about environmental pollution and environmental waste. Like I understand all that stuff. I understand like the progression of technology leading humans to become weaker, leading humans to become weaker people instead of using technology to supplement our strengths. I get all that stuff. I just don't really. I'm just not as invested in it on this particular watch.
Yeah,
and
because even between, sorry to interrupt, even between 2008 and now, the amount of movies with that exact same message is absurd. And so like even then it was like kind of bloated and on the nose, so it did not quite age well.
Yeah. And it's coming from Disney, which is like,
And it's coming
look at
from
their
Disney.
carbon from
Yeah.
with their 1,000 cruise ships. Sink 'em all. No. My bad. Yeah, I'll give it an 8.9. I still really love this movie. It's not it's not that it doesn't deserve to be a 9 and above. I love it to death. I love Wally to death. I love Eve to death. I love Mo. Yeah.
Yeah, you pointed out probably the weakest thing in this film, which is the difference between the love story half of this movie and the social commentary half. I think there's a pretty firm line drawn between those movies, and one of them outshines the other for sure. But for me, what kind of redeems the social commentary half is Wally's effect on it. We see like the roots of this take place in the design of Wally's home, with all like the lights, and it's so filled with like whimsy and personality, and so you see that he's like holding on to humanity for humanity, essentially, while they lay dormant in their hover chairs. But once he's up in the spaceship, he brings it to people. He's like knocking people off the chairs, and they're better for that. Like, he derails a woman, and she goes to the pool and like splashes water at her friend without looking at a screen, and they break a robot, which is cool. Like, you just get these moments where like that world, the dystopian world, bleeds into the social commentary world, and I think you need that. If that didn't happen, like, it would be a much worse movie. And there's such small details at times, but it goes so far. Do you think they did somewhat decent at balancing those two halves of the movie?
Yeah, like, and like I said, like, I like that aspect of Wally's character, that he is kind of not unwilling, but like an ignorant hero. Where he doesn't really, he never really understands like his effect on other people, and he has one goal and one goal only, and the stuff that he does along the way to get to that goal, that's the stuff that changes the world, because he's just a good person, or because he's just a really nice robot, a really caring robot, and a compassionate robot. It's kind of interesting that they not entirely, but like there is a little bit of like a messianic thing to his character, especially because he almost dies and almost sacrifices himself to save humanity, and also his lady friend is called Eve. I don't think that's too on the nose, but like I just it's this stuff with the corporate symbols, and then the kind of like the milkshakes, which are like they use like 3 lines of dialogue on the milkshakes. They use like they have like the propaganda in the schools, like the by and large. Like, I understand that it's necessary. I was just like, I don't know. It might just be me. It might just be
No,
me.
I agree. I said it in the beginning. They're just too on the nose with it. There's no subtlety whatsoever, and that's okay. Like, it's a movie for children, so really, I guess we can't judge that too harshly.
Yeah.
But it's not translating well to adults now.
Yeah, and I think, like, honestly, it might just be because the bar is so high from those first 20 minutes that like I judge the rest of the movie because it's not as good as the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So, it's also a personal thing.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think they're all valid criticisms. What do you like about the first 20 minutes? Get into it. What shines?
Dude, freaking just him interacting with the world and the world building. it's not world building through exposition, right? It's world building through interaction, which is really, really cool. The fact that we know, okay, a cockroach can survive, a robot can survive. Why isn't
Twinkies
anybody?
can survive.
Yeah, Twinkies can survive. Where, where is everything else? Like, and I love that seeing Wally interact with the world. Both, excuse me, sorry. It does two things. It heightens the mystery, and it gets you on board with the main character. And the like keeping those two things both separate but parallel, keeping those two like lines of logic and story like as parallel but separate is really, really cool and really, really efficient way of making this character feel memorable, making this world feel memorable. I love his kind of, I guess, courtship of Eve. I think it's really, really cute and adorable. I know our beloved IMDb user doesn't like adorable things.
Yeah.
I do. So shut up.
Yeah, it's not yucky pukey to all of us.
Yeah, man, and the harsh transition in the color palette and in the lighting when he goes into space and he like surfs with the space plankton. It's just so cool, man. It's so badass. It's so excellently done and really, really just beautiful to look at.
Yeah. You had a phrase in there that really sums up why I love Wally and Eve's relationship, and that was world building through interaction. Because that's like all the character development we get is, hey, Wally shows Eve something, we get to watch her reaction, and like that's how they build a relationship for us, is just like a series of that. Like a cockroach comes on and she fucking giggles. She like her eyebrows go up and she's like, and then she tries to fucking murder him immediately. But it's sweet.
Yeah.
No, it's seeing those interactions for Eve especially, because we get a lot more time with Wally. We get to like see him explore the world, but for Eve, Wally is showing her the world the whole time. We get to know Eve pretty much, apart from like doing your duty, hunting and killing and trying to find a plant. It's all through Wally and that interaction. And so seeing her, like, her eyes light up to his house as she like walks around, or giggling at a cockroach, like it's all gorgeous, and you need that for the storytelling. I mentioned Studio Ghibli earlier. It's like the part in Spirited Away when she puts her shoe on and like taps it on the floor to get it all the way on. It's those tiny little details that just brings so much life into the character. And for me, that's like the little eyebrow raise when she's giggling, or like the reflection in Wally's eyes of her, because it's like the object of desire. Like there's just a lot of great visual storytelling here.
Hell yeah. Love. Yeah, I love all of it. I love the like I they worked really hard on it to and it looks great in Toy Story 4, but like I don't know how they did it back in 2008, like capturing that anamorphic feel of like a romance movie. And, like it's just so otherworldly and so brilliant. And I love that it's kind of also buoyed by like Hello Dolly, which was like, speaking of box office flops, that was a box office flop that pretty much killed the musical genre as we know it. But like it brings to the rest of these characters to life, which I think is kind of cool. It's really corny. It's a really on the nose musical, but like it works so well with like the sound of their relationship. Like when I hear that song, and I hear it sometimes, I around and or even just on the internet when I hear people talking
about.
not out and about, but like when people talk about musicals and like video essays on the internet and stuff like that, like I'll hear them referencing Hello Dolly. I'm like, I'm not thinking that it's Hello Dolly. I'm like, oh, that's the Wally song. And I think that's really awesome.
I actually have the I don't know why I have it, but I have the soundtrack to Hello Dolly on vinyl, and I've never seen it or listened to it while on vinyl.
Is it an original print?
I don't know. It's just in my collection. I literally don't ever think about it or look at it, but I have it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Little fun fact about me.
Yeah, man. The music in this one, in contrast to Treasure Planet, is just all around fantastic. Yeah. Not just the samples, but the original score as well. Like it's really robotic, but it's also like really. It still feels human. It still feels chaotic, especially in the chase scenes. Those are my favorite musical moments.
Yeah.
So shout out Thomas Newman, man. Great job.
Yeah. They somehow make it organic, which is hard. It's not what you would expect for this movie. You'd expect pure robot direction. But you get like a lot of life and personality, and that matches the characters in the film as well. What did you think of the captain of the boat, played by? Why can't I remember? Pulling up the cast right now.
Jeff Garlin.
Jeff Garlin.
Oh, hey, I like Jeff Garlin.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, what do you think of the captain? Did he? Because that character is one of the only outside of Eve and Wally that gets any screen time, basically, or like any show or anything. So, do you like him? You hate him? What would you rate him?
He's the best. He's the best. He really surprised me the first time because I was like, come on, man, why are you as much of a slacker as all your crew people? Like, come on, man. But like seeing his kind of turn and like him falling in love with Earth and falling in love with just with what life used to be, and I think it's really, really cool. I think I also think it's really, really smartly written too, because all three, Wally, Eve, and the captain, they all go through their own separate like realizations of why life on Earth is precious and is necessary and is and needs to like is something worth fighting for. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that, you know, he's face to face against the Hal villain.
Yeah, literally in the center, it's just Hal.
It's just Hal, and also like when he's standing up on his own two legs like a baby, and he and they play the 2001. They actually play the. I thought that was that was hilarious. That was great.
Yeah,
I love that he's animated like a baby as well. I think that's very necessary in the symbolism of like, yeah, humans they need time to grow again. You know, like every character in this movie is like an infant seeing the world for the first time, and so I like the captain's journey. I like him kind of having to use his kind of like mundane experience in that office to fight back against Otto. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement. It's real easy to make that character super passive, which he is for the most of the movie, but that changes and you get a good redemption. You don't get like a huge arc, but the arc you do get is very satisfying. It uses up the screen time that it gets nicely, and it doesn't take away from the main plot or the main love story or the goal of Eve or this mission in general. It ties in real nicely. I absolutely love it. And that dynamic with Otto, you mentioned Hal as well. is perfect because of that comparison. Because both Hal and Otto are villains who are just executing their order that they were programmed to do. Like, it's not like there's any like inherent evil. They're not trying to sabotage anything. They just got an order and they're trying to do it. And that makes for a compelling villain. And seeing like humanity like put it on manual is again a little on the nose for the symbolism. But like switching it to manual is perfect. It's just a great, satisfying ending.
I agree.
Yeah. Favorite scenes? I got pretty much everything I wanted to say out of the way.
Cool. Yeah. No, yeah. We can do favorite scenes.
Yeah, hit me with it. What you got?
Ooh. I love the scene in the garbage compactor when Mo finally cleans Wally, and then he sees what Wally is, what Wally means, and is on board with this guy that he's been chasing, that it's been chasing. I don't know what Mo is, but yeah, I love that scene, and I love the little heartfelt thing of like, you know, it's the low point in the movie. We think Wally's gonna die. I love that the Wall A's are just like are
big Wally.
yeah, they're big Wallies, but they immediately get it. Like they're like, yeah, I'll give you dramatic lighting.
Yeah.
I love that scene, man. That's such a good scene. I love showing Eva around the man cave, the Wally cave. I thought was great. I think her seeing the footage of her security cam for the first time, and kind of realizing what she means to Wally is really, really cool. I think the dance in outer space with the fire extinguisher, I mean that's just got to be number one, man. That's I it's so beautiful. I cry every time I watch it. I sometimes just YouTube that scene so I can cry for a day. Yeah, man. It's so good. Also, the first meeting with Eve is good too.
True. Yeah, I had a lot of the same ones, especially that fire extinguisher scene. I think it's not like intercut a lot, but is it intercut with when the captain asks for the definition of dancing, or am I imagining that?
Yeah.
I think that might happen. It is like kind of intercut with that.
Yeah. So yeah, it happens in the middle part of it, like right when it's like he asks for the definition of dance, and then the definition of dance plays out in the last kind of leg of the fire extinguisher when she carries him.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a gorgeous scene. Like even down to the simplistic sound design, because they're in space, so there's not supposed to be any noise. It's not. Who cares if there's a little fire extinguisher sound? It's fine.
Yeah.
But
we can also pretend that we're
gorgeous.
in the characters' heads and then communicating electronically.
Yeah, with a fire extinguisher. And it's a gorgeous scene though. It's so beautiful to look at. The sound design is incredible, and it's very poignant, and it makes me cry. So yeah, definitely a top scene, if not the top scene. You also mentioned the Wally death fake out. I think my favorite part of that is when Eve replaces parts of Wally, and you're like, oh fuck, like his soul is gone though. Like there's none of that empathetic Wally, and then he like slowly like springs to life with his eyes, and it's perfect, man.
Yeah.
It's just so good. It's just so satisfying and beautiful that like just a little bit of expression can like symbolize like victory. It's a fantastic way to do that. So those are my top two. I really enjoy the first meeting with Eve too, especially the little cockroach giggle I mentioned earlier. Eve walking around Wally's place is fantastic. It's just great. The shot behind the like shelf full of junk, and like her eyes are just like in the slit. Like it's great cinematography. I know it's animation, but that's just great framing. It's just fantastic. Yeah, that's probably all my favorites.
Yeah.
If I had to narrow it down.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. WALL-E's on Disney Plus as well. For those of you who don't have it, like, buy it. It's WALL-E. What are you doing?
You haven't seen it? What's wrong with you?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, good episode. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be back next week. We'll see you then. If you want to find us, you can. Find us on Instagram, the Jared Cast. Where else are we? We're most active on Instagram, but we're like, I don't know if you're still posting on TikTok, but a TikTok exists. Facebook is a big one.
Yeah, it's mostly Instagram and Facebook. I once we get someone to help with the edits, I'll start being more active on Twitter. But yeah.
Maybe I'll decide to help at some point. We'll see. For now, I'm just going to talk into this microphone and say thank you guys. We appreciate y'all listening. I know these are long, and so if you make it this far, bravo to you. We're best friends now. Thank you for that.
Hell yeah. All right, audience. We love you. Goodbye.